All right. Good morning. It's 8:02 a.m. on Monday, September 18th, and we are so excited, you guys, to be bringing to you something that has been such a blessing and a gift to Shawn and myself this past year. Well, it hasn't been even quite a year yet. 6 months or so, Shawn and I have been fully immersing ourselves in Tony Robbins and his teachings. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but he has definitely made an impact on our life and is not just somebody that goes out and motivates and, gets you going out there. He gets you into action and gets you really thinking on what you want to do and how you want to create the life. And so it's called the Time of Your Life series. And this is what we are going to be doing for the next 10 days to get our time back. For me personally, I can tell you, and Shawn would agree, that I am definitely not the best time manager in the world. I do and do and do and go and go and go, but I could absolutely do a much better job of managing my time. So I'm so excited to be working in this notebook. So get your notebooks out and get them ready to be taking a lot of notes and being crazy intentional on how you want to create the life that you dream to live. All right, Shawn Poe, you want to say anything? And then we're just going to get started because today's one of the longer days. And we definitely want to respect your time. It looks like he maybe stepped away. All right, well, let's just get after it. And love you guys. And here we go. I've got to move this speaker and get it started here.
Hi, this is Tony Robbins. Listen, I want to welcome you to the time of your life. I want to thank you and tell you how excited I am and how privileged I feel to be able to spend this time with you. Together, we're going to figure out how to really take control of your life at a whole new level. How to experience not only the results you want in your life, but the joy and fulfillment that you come with it. So my purpose in putting this program together is for you to experience a massive increase in the quality of your life. Not just be a great planner, not just somebody who can, do your to-do list. That's the last thing we want. We want to make sure that this journey of yours called a life is a masterpiece, that it has all the color and texture and beauty and love and achievement that you deserve. But it won't come about just by simply going out and making those to-do lists and trying to control everything and direct everything. It comes from understanding what makes you tick, what drives you personally on a regular basis, what's going to move you to action. Why is it sometimes you keep saying, this is what I want to do, I know I have to do this, I know I should do this, but you don't follow through? Why do you delay things to the last minute and get so darn stressed? Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of all that? Wouldn't it be nice to be in a place where your life felt like it had such incredible balance and strength and power that whatever it is you really wanted to set forth, whatever outcome you had, whatever it is you were after, you felt you had a real plan that you could quickly put together and make happen. And not only could you do this for yourself, but you could also do it for people you cared about. You could do it for your kids. You could show them how to turn their dreams into reality, and you could teach them the same system. It's so simple. Couple of steps, and you begin to think and behave differently than everybody around you. Because everybody's got their dreams, everybody's got their goals, but very few people are living them. And the difference between having them in your mind and actually living them is knowing how to create a plan that's really achievable and that will drive you. So how are we going to do this? Well, we've got to develop a simple system that'll just become a habit for us, that'll get us to consistently get what we want instead of reacting to our environment. It's a couple questions we're going to ask in our head that will get us to think differently than other people, so we'll get different results. Because I'm coming up now on close to 25 years in studying human behavior, studying the patterns of success and the patterns of failure. And it's always blown my mind, what makes the difference in people's lives? Why do some people seem to develop lives of such frustration, such overwhelm, when they have so much opportunity in front of them? They got the talent, they got the skill, and yet they got nothing but regret about their life. They achieve things, but they're not even happy about what they achieved. And then there are other people that have been given every challenge you can imagine, things outside their control, things that were unjust. And yet somehow they knew what they were after. They knew what their purpose was. They knew what they wanted to achieve, what they wanted to give, what they wanted to create. And they live lives of such happiness, such fulfillment, such joy. The difference is in a system of thinking. And I'll tell you what it is. People who fail to achieve what they want start out by thinking about, what do I got to do? That's what they do. What do I have to do? Oh, I have to do that and that. And that's why they never do it. Because you know what? If you ever thought about what it took to achieve where you are in your life right now, all the things you were really proud of, you probably wouldn't have begun. I know I wouldn't have. If I thought all the crap I was going to go through, I got to tell you something, all the things I'd have to figure out and resolve, I think I would have just said, maybe I should try an easier path. But achievers don't do that. Achievers never start by asking, what do I do? They always ask, what do I want? That's the genesis of something magical. What do I really want? What do I want in this relationship? Not what do I have to deal with? What do I want in this job? What do I want out of this conversation? What do I want out of this day? What do I want out of this week, out of this month, out of this year, this decade of my life? What do I really want? Most of us never take the time to ask that because we're so busy responding to the wants of everything else, the desires of everyone else, the urgencies of the world, that we're busy just trying to keep up. We're responding to our darn email and to our voicemail and everything else. And we don't stop and say, whoa. What do I really want out of the next 10 minutes? What do I want out of this minute? What do I want out of my life? Until you know what happens? Most people reach a point in life where they want to stop it all because they've been doing everybody else's wants except theirs. And they are really frustrated. And they have what they call an identity crisis, a midlife crisis, a post-life crisis, a pre-life crisis. I don't know, something. All it really is a person saying, wait a second, I've been living by everybody else's wants but mine. Stop, I got to figure this out. But you know what? Even then they're stressed. They don't know the methodology to get clear about what they want. So if you want to get clear about what you want, the simple thing you got to do is start asking yourself, what do I really want from the situation? What's my outcome? And then get even more specific. You might say, well, I want to be happier. I want to lose some weight. Well, fine. I want to make some more money. Fine, here's $2, get out of here. It's the metaphor I always use. But you got to get more specific. What specific result do you want? And better yet, what specific result are you committed to? You see, what you're going to learn here is a technology, a simple methodology, a pattern, if you will, of thinking. And that system of thinking is called RPM. It's the rapid planning method. And what makes it rapid is not just what you're going to do, but it allows you to get clear about what you want, and secondly, why you want it. Because the reasons have the power to drive you. Your purpose has the power to get you wherever you want to go. Everybody does things for their reasons, nobody else's. Now you might say, no, I do this because I want to please my kids. Key word, you wanted to please your kids. You're doing it for your reasons. It gives you something to do something. We all have reasons. And as you listen to this program, you're going to find out the reasons that drive you most, that are different than the person next to you. When you know how to find out why you want to do something, man, the drive turns on. Not just the mere motivation like a warm bath for the moment, but drive, something that's sustainable, something that'll get you to where you want to go. So RPM really stands for a results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan. It is the fastest way I know to get results and to keep those results coming to your life. Because anybody can put a plan together, but most people forget what they're really after in that plan. They're just busy doing the to-dos, and they don't have the reasons that'll drive them to follow through. Because we don't get results from taking 1 or 2 steps. You got to just go for it. You got to be able to cut loose, and you got to be able to be creative. You can't be anal and have 4 things you're going to have to do a certain way, because if you come up with a perfect plan, you know it's going to have to change to get the results you want. It's the nature of humanity. Everything is changing. So your plan has to be able to change rapidly, quickly. So if you think about RPM as if you think in a car, as you increase the RPMs, what do? You increase the power, you increase the energy, you increase the pace at which you can achieve your goal. You get there faster, there's more power inside. And I gotta tell you something, there's immense power when you get connected to what you really want. The R, the result you're after, and the P, why you want it, your reasons, your purpose. Then having a massive action plan just moves you forward rapidly. And by the way, you can think of this as a results planning method, a results planning system. That's what it is, but the biggest key is that you're gonna get results quicker. So really, this is a rapid planning method for you. This is a way for you to really quickly put together a plan. You don't have to sit and wait for weeks and create some strategic plan with PERT charts. You can slam this thing together in no time, know exactly what you want, have the emotional reasons to follow through, and have a plan that you know will work. The rapid planning method, again, gives you this ability to put this together quickly, not waste a bunch of time. And there's all kinds of time that you waste when you're making those to-dos, because you're doing things that don't coalesce, that don't work together, that aren't what we call chunks. They're not focused. You split your focus and take you every direction, so it takes you more time. Plus, once you know how to build an RPM plan, you're going to be able to do this so much faster than you even were with your to-do list. Because once you know what the outcomes are, the results you're after in your business or in your life on a regular basis, they show up again and again. And it allows you to organize yourself even more quickly. You know where to look. You don't have zillions of random items, 30 random items. You know you've got 4 or 5 results you're committed to that day. 4 or 5 outcomes that you're really after. So I'll go through this a little bit later, but I want you to know, if you want to get results, what will change it is getting yourself clear about what you want and getting the emotion going. And I'm going to teach you a methodology that'll do this about little things and big things. And pretty soon it'll just be a habit. You won't be like having to run to your planner trying to figure this stuff out. It'll be happening inside of you. You're going to become an RPM monster here. And when you do, you're going to rip up all those to-do lists, all that stuff used to stop you, all the obstacles. And people are going to say, what is it about you? How are you doing this? You seem to be having more time for yourself. You seem to be enjoying yourself, but you're achieving more. You'll just smile and say, I have a system, and have some fun with it. But for a lot of people, they don't even want to hear about creating a plan for their life. They don't want to hear about life management. I'm not an organized kind of person. I want to do that kind of stuff. I'm a free spirit. I'm not a corporate executive. I don't have that much to do. I'm a mom. I'm a soccer mom, for God's sakes. Listen, whether you're a mom, which is probably the most important management job on the planet, whether you run multiple corporations or you're in sales or you're starting your own business, or you're just trying to discover what you want for your life, you've got to take the time to create a plan for yourself, because there's plenty of people that want our time, want our energy, want our focus, and we're going to drift there unless we take the time for ourselves to be clear. You don't have to be an executive. You have the power of RPM. This is, how do I get my life so it's juicy? This is, how do I have the time of my life? But I'll tell you how this plan came about first. Then I'll walk you through how to do it so I don't get too far ahead of myself here. I created this plan for me out of necessity. I mean, you got to picture this. I'm a young man. By the time I'm 24, I already have a 17-year-old son. I got married and have 3 kids instantly. I love them, and I want to be connected to them. But boy, that changes your life pretty quickly. I had an 11-year-old daughter. I had a 5-year-old son, and then a baby on the way. That alone would give you enough reason to figure out how to plan your life. But on top of that, I've got 8 businesses. And as the years have gone by, those businesses have grown into substantial enterprises, one of which is a public company. And so those things are growing. And then all of a sudden, I have all the stuff I want to do that make a difference in the world through my mission, not only in my work, but also through the work of my foundation. Plus, I want to be physically fit. And I want to constantly be growing. And I'm out there doing seminars. Well, as you might guess, to-do list planning didn't work. I don't care what system you got. They were all the same. And I was so frustrated because at the end of the day, I could never get all my to-dos done. Can you relate? I mean, after a while, my planner was really something I carried my phone numbers in. I had my big calendar of things, and I had like my money in there, a bunch of pictures and credit cards. It was a big purse. I didn't admit it to myself, basically. And that's what it is for most people. But after a while, I realized that I was so frustrated. I felt so overwhelmed. I wasn't able to keep all my commitments to people. And then I found myself doing everything for others and not for myself. I had to find a better way. And I realized that this thing of asking, what do I have to do, was a giant mistake. It was the same system, whether you put it in a Palm Pilot, whether you put it in a Franklin Planner, whether you put it in a Daytimer. They're all great little systems, but they're asking the same question. The time of your life, this system is going to put you not only in a balance, but when you're in balance, you can go faster with less stress. When you got a tire, one side of it is flat, it's a bumpy road at 20 miles an hour, at 100 miles an hour, it starts jarring you loose. But when everything is balanced, you can go faster and faster, more revolutions, more RPMs. You can get greater tempo, greater speed, achieve things more rapidly. And in the middle of it, you're like the center of the storm where nothing's bothering you, where you're enjoying the trip, you're enjoying the ride. So I realized that if I was going to get all the results I wanted in my life and have any kind of a life left over, have my body be left over and be healthy, I had to develop something different. And so I knew I still needed to schedule things. I needed to capture my things. I needed to be able to prepare for meetings. But I knew there needed to be a slight shift in the thinking, because a slight shift can give you a totally different result. If you're heading one direction, you make a 10-degree shift and you take that out a week from now, a month from now, 10 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you're in a totally different destination, a totally different result. You have a totally different destiny. So I began to realize that my life was based on all these activities, that I was responding to everything. And in fact, even when I became successful, I was stressed. I bet you can relate to this. If you're listening to this program, you're already succeeding already. It's interesting. The people that need this stuff never get it, because the ones that are already going for it full tilt that usually get a program like this. So my guess is you're already doing pretty well. And so all of a sudden now you got so much responsibility because you're succeeding that you're getting stressed about it. Having more children, having more homes, having more than one business or more than one opportunity, more than one ability to make a difference in the world actually started creating stress for me. And I thought, how can I complain about all this abundance? But managing it all was a pain. I realized I had plans for managing my time, but I had no plan for managing my life. I mean, think about it. What good is time management? Your life isn't time. Your life is your life. Time should be serving you based on the context of what you want for your life, not what can I get done. That's setting yourself up for stress and scarcity and frustration. So RPM is really a life management system. If you own a company, it can be an enterprise management system. You can learn to run your entire company this way. But for start, learn to run yourself. Learn to run your whole life this way, and you will feel so much fulfillment while you're achieving more rapidly. So think of RPM as the results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan, or the fastest way to get results and to be fulfilled in the process. A simple system of thinking that will free you from those to-dos and give you what you deserve. So let's get to the mechanics here. First of all, I designed this program to be a 10-day program for you. So you can commit about 90 minutes a day, sometimes less, sometimes more. You might say, 90 minutes, Tony, where am I going to find that? Listen, if you're stressed about 90 minutes out of your day, I got here just in the nick of time. Come on. If you don't have 90 minutes for yourself, this is the first place you better start, because this isn't going to suddenly magically start showing up, right? Rarely do good ideas interrupt you. Rarely does a quality of life just show up. It must be taken. It must be pursued. It must be hunted down and devoured and created and magnified and a bunch of other mixed metaphors I could offer you. The point is, you deserve this. So take the time. Now, you can do it in your car, but there'll be some things you're going to want to write down at various stages. But I can try that in the car, listen to it, you write it down, whatever way works for you. And if you want to, you can do this as immersion. You know, people come to our More Time seminars, or people running businesses come to our Life Enterprise Management program. And the More Time seminar is 3 days of total immersion. So you can do this all day and night, and it becomes a part of you. Life Enterprise Management is done literally over 6 or 7 days for those running whole companies this way. But the point is, once you have it, you are free for the rest of your life. Once you master this, you won't have to come back to it. You will literally know that no matter what people throw at you, you're not going to be overwhelmed. You know how to immediately organize it and put it into something that produces results, not just more to-dos, something that cuts through all the bull and gets you to the core of what you want, and something that inspires you emotionally so you want to do it. What's that worth? To have that juice and passion all the time, as opposed to having more things you got to do. So the 10-day format, you can do 2 if you want a day. You can do it all at one time. But I would definitely take the time, at least one of these a day, if at all possible, for the 10 days. And that makes it really bite-sized chunks for you. And you can apply a little bit at a time. And I think you'll enjoy the process quite a bit. People tell us they love not only what they've learned, but they love the process they went through. And just think, 10 days from now, you could be completely out of stress. And what if I promised you that as a result of what you're going to do in these first couple of days, 3 or 4 days, you're going to find a minimum of an extra 10 or 12 hours a week just for you, without taking away from anything else you're doing? You might say, oh, that's crazy. 12 hours a week, there's no way. That's 40 hours a month. That's another week just for myself. That's exactly right. And that's what you're going to get. Now, by the way, I know this is a big request to make of your time, but this is about getting to know what you want. So this is for you, not for me, not for anybody else. So my request to you is, put other things aside and schedule this time for yourself. If it's in the middle of the day, if it's the end of the day, if it's the weekend, lock it in place so what happens. Because, you know, everybody's got their dreams. People like all the time, they got this great conversation going on about what they want. But I want you to remember this. I'll say this many times. If you talk about something, it's a dream. If you envision it, it gets exciting, doesn't it? But it still doesn't happen, right? When you begin to plan it, it's possible. When you schedule it, it's real. And you got to schedule it. So lock in some block time to do this. With all the demands that happen in all of our lives, our businesses, our personal lives, we've got to make sure we start out knowing what's the plan for our life, because otherwise, if we don't create a plan for our life, we're going to fit in everybody else's plan. And I want to tell you something. All the things I do, all the tools that I use in my life, it's hard to say which set of tools really are the most important. Physical tools, financial, emotional. But this is the basis that I plan all of my life from. I mean, if you've ever been to one of my live seminars, you know it's like a rock and roll concert. It's like a peak sporting event. It's like a championship game where people are learning and growing, and it's fun and it's exciting. But of all the tools that I know in those environments, all those tools I share, this RPM planning process may be the most important one of all. So stick with me for the 10 days. Or if you're an overachiever, do as many tapes as you want in a day. You can do it however works for you, okay? The first 4 days are really going to ground you in the fundamental philosophy. Going to get you to be really clear about what does it take to create an extraordinary quality of life. And even if all heck is breaking loose in your life, when events seem to be out of control, when things are happening you cannot shape, how do you still be fulfilled, still feel successful, still produce the results that you want long term? So in session number 1, this tape, we're going to show you how to tap into the force that can give you an extraordinary quality of life no matter what happens around you. How do you experience the capacity to feel excitement and joy and passion and love and warmth and freedom in spite of all those demands? How do you get that life of fulfillment? And what's the power to make that happen that you have inside of you right now? How do you use it in a practical way? In session number 2, day 2, if you will, we're going to begin to show you what we call time targets. We're going to show you really what is it that knocks you out of that flow state? What are the things that create stress for you? And we're going to show you how to create some stress destroyers. How do you get rid of those things and maximize your fulfillment while you reduce your stress through the floor. What do you do with your time? That's what we're going to discover. Where do you spend it? And how can you make some subtle changes that seem very small, but would immediately and instantly change the quality of the results you get, and even more importantly, again, the level of fulfillment you experience. In session number 3, day 3, for those of you who will do it that way, you're going to begin to create a life plan. What I mean by that is you're going to actually sit down and begin to find exactly all the moving parts of your life. What are all the things that are demanding your attention, and what do you want your attention to be focused on? Where do you want to place your emotion, your thought, and feeling to get the greatest reward for your life? We're going to walk you through it and then show you how to juice it up, how to take these areas, which we call categories of improvement, categories of constant, never-ending improvement, areas of your life that you need to focus on continuously and improve continuously if you really want to get the greatest results, and if you want your life to experience the power of balance, real balance. Finally, in the 4th tape, we're going to have you walk through and discover what is your ultimate vision for your life. What do you want from your career? What do you want from your businesses? Why do you want to do it? What are the fundamental resources that are available to you that if you tapped into them, you could achieve these ultimate visions much more rapidly? We'll have you experience that. And I'm going to give you a little exercise that'll show you whether or not your life is in balance real quickly. You might say, well, I already know it's out of balance, Tony. I wouldn't be talking to you. That may be true. But I'm going to show you how to know which areas are out of balance so you can make quick corrections. Those first 4 tapes are really that foundation. They're really showing you what does it take to create a life plan and actually guiding you to set that foundation where you have a plan for your life. Because again, why would you ever sit down and try and create a plan for your time, like what you're going to do today, what you're going to do this week or this month, until you know what you're planning for? What is it you want is what we're going to answer first. Now, after tape 4, as we enter tape 5, we're hitting the 2nd section of this tape program. To have the time of your life, you got to not only have a vision and be absolutely clear where you want to spend your time and know how to take advantage of any opportunity or any challenge. But in section 2, we're going to show you how to actually take those dreams, those visions, and turn them into physical reality. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is the place where you begin to say, it doesn't matter how complex my goal is or idea is, or how difficult the plan may seem, I know how to simplify it quickly and get results. I know how to take this dream that I want over the course of the next year or 6 months or 3 months or 2 years, and I know how to reduce it to things I'm going to do right now today that I'll enjoy doing while I'm producing the result that I'm after. And that is really teaching you the guts of the RPM life management system. That's where you'll discover the mechanics of manifestation. Like, what do you do to manifest, to produce these results? What do you do to plan a day? What do you do to plan a week? What do you do to plan a month? If you're going to plan a huge project, you're going to run a company or a division or several companies, or you're just going to run this complex thing called your life with your kids and your family and your business and your career and your contribution to your church or your community. How do you do all that and really be in a great place? Really be that Superman or that Superwoman. That's what we're going to show you how to do in the 2nd half of the program. And then I put a couple bonus tapes in for you, including one on how do you make decisions. Because gosh, whenever you look at your life, you want to say, why is my life the way it is? Anything I'm thrilled about or unhappy about, it ultimately comes down to looking at the decisions we've made. And sometimes little decisions have shaped our lives immensely. So I want to show you how to have a conscious way to make bigger decisions. And the big decisions obviously shape our lives. So most people don't have a clear system for deciding. They try to do it in their head, and they think of an option, a choice they have, and they think that sounds pretty good, but then they think of all the downsides. And they think of another choice, and then they think of what the downsides are, and we tend to loop in our heads. I'll show you this simple 6-step system you can use for the rest of your life. And then as a bonus I put in here, how do you really juice up your life? Well, I'm going to show you how to do what I call an emotional flood. And that's what we'll end the program, showing you something you can do it any day for the rest of your life, and you'll feel a change that will last literally for 2 or 3 days in your mental and emotional state and your feelings about not only your past and your present, but also your future. So that kind of gives you a little picture of where we're going, and I'll guide you and remind you on each tape what to do. And at the end of each day, I'm going to give you an assignment. In the first 4 days, it'll be like 4 questions you'll need to answer. The assignments will probably take you about 10, maybe 15 minutes. So again, these first 4 days are the work. You make these first 4 days happen, I promise you, you'll be more than inspired and you'll be ready to do the rest of it. And if you feel a little confused about anything, you're not quite sure, listen to the tape again or call my offices and speak to one of our representatives, and they'll be happy to answer any question you have as long as you've done your homework. So make sure at the end of each day, take serious doing those 2 or 3 assignments, because if you'll do that, at the end of 10 days, you'll have a sense of direction, a sense of absolute control over your life, and a sense of excitement for your capacity to create anything you can dream about. Now, by the way, I want to tell you something. The tools I'm going to share with you here have transformed the quality of not only my life, but people from 65 nations, top executives, and people just trying to manage their own personal lives. But to do this requires you learning some new language and a new way of thinking. So in order to make this transformation happen, I'm literally giving you a 15-hour course that normally people do in 2 full days and nights, and we're going to do it over 10 days. Here's the challenge. When I created this product, I thought, this would be great. People can do 90 minutes a day. That's the average session. And then there's a couple assignments at the end of things you want to do that are really simple. But I thought, will people really do it? When you put someone in a seminar, they're there. They're in the environment. There's nothing to trigger them. There's nothing to distract them. To get you to do this for 10 days, you got to really decide that this is worth it. You got to decide, why must you do this? Think about it. You signed up here, you invested in a product whose title includes more time. Now, there's no more time, so why the heck do you invest in this thing? Come on. There is not an ounce more time. There's only the time there is, so why did you do this? And you're a smart person, and you invested in a silly program. I'll tell you why. Because inherently, within you, intuitively, there's more time for what really matters to you. And the only question is, how do you get there? Well, you won't get there by making a to-do list every day. You won't get there even by making a nice list of values or even a mission statement that you read once or twice a week, or maybe you never read again, or once a month. You need a way of thinking that gets you associated, gets you to feel what's most important, gets you to focus on what's most important, and makes it something you do every single day so that you move towards what you want. So you spend time where you want to live, not by the demands of the environment that will constantly cause you to live in reaction and cheat you out of what you really deserve in your life. Hey, let's stop for a second and ask ourselves a question most people won't ask. And that is, what is time? What is it really? What is it to you? Think about it this way. Time is only one thing really for a human being, for you and I. Time is emotion. It's a feeling. That's all it is. It's a way of looking at the moment, a way of looking at life that gives you an emotional state. In fact, haven't you had times where time flew, or where time didn't even exist for you? You were so associated. You were feeling so good. You were so enthralled with what you were involved with. The time literally stopped. You had no experience of time. In fact, at some point, maybe that activity stopped and you went, oh my God, look at the time. I can't believe it. Where did time go? And then you've also had times where a minute feels like an eternity. Like when you're standing in line someplace and someone's trying to get their credit card checked or something, right? Think of the times where you're like, if this meeting goes another 30 seconds, I'm going to kill somebody. The bottom line is time is completely driven by emotion. There are lots of people who have an experience of unbelievable amounts of time, and they at the same time you and I do, who walk around sometimes feeling stressed. I don't know if you feel that way, but my guess is if you bought this, you're an achiever. That's where I used to live. I used to be there every day saying, oh my God, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. I make myself nuts, and every once in a while I return there and I catch myself. So we're going to help you come up with a life plan that allow you to create a balance where all the areas of your life work together. And you say, oh, that's impossible. Well, a lot of things I've been teaching throughout the years, people said were impossible initially. If you've been to any of my programs, my whole goal in life is to show people have an experience of doing things they thought were impossible, because that's where the freedom is. The freedom comes in when you liberate yourself from limitation, when you liberate yourself from a psychology that keeps you from having what you deserve. And I'll tell you, the good news is there is a power, there is a tool that is so simple that the minute you engage it, you instantaneously can change the quality of your life. In a heartbeat, the minute you employ it, and it's something you already do, but maybe not consciously. And so you may not be using it to its fullest extent, and I'd be willing to guess you haven't, because I've had the privilege in the last 21 years of my life to be with people from 65 countries, over 2 million people, from every walk of life, from parents to presidents of nations, literally. From people that are struggling to the most successful people in the world in terms of their impact and what they contribute. But I want to tell you something. You don't have to be a genius when you've been with that many people for that many years to see there are patterns. There's patterns of what certain people do that make them happy, fulfilled, and successful. And there are patterns that people do who have every reason to be happy, who make themselves sick inside. And they're not that difficult, and they're not that complex. What I want to do with teaching you this RPM life management system is teach you more than a planner. Because you could say, oh, this looks like any planner. I got a calendar and I got an A through Z list. Yeah, but that's not it. It's not a computer software piece. Those are great little tools, but the ultimate tool is the thinking process that causes you to succeed and be fulfilled. And let me tell you the basis of that, one fundamental principle that you know, and that is the power of focus. What you focus on, you feel, whether it's true or not. Have you ever been inside your head and you thought somebody did something to really hurt you, and you were so mad because you focused, you kept picturing your mind, kept thinking about how could they possibly do this to me, and you felt all this anger, all this frustration, all this hurt inside, and then later on found you were dead wrong, that they weren't even slightly trying to harm you, that you just misinterpreted the whole thing? How'd you feel? Kind of silly, right? Maybe a little stupid, a little embarrassed. But you know what? In the moment you focused and you thought this person did something to hurt you, you were hurt inside, weren't you? The same thing is true. I watch people come to Fiji or have this incredible resort, and I watch people on the first day, man, they get here, they've been on a plane, they're caught up in their old world, you know, they're thinking about their to-do lists and all the things they got to do, and oh my God, I came here for vacation, but all these things I got to do, and they're all stressed out. Within a few days, they start looking at birds, you know, and it's like their whole life changes. You know, they look out at the ocean, they're staring at the ocean and going, oh my God, and they start to breathe again. They start to think about what matters in their life. And someone says hello, and they say hello back, and they mean it. It's like all of a sudden their focus changes and their feelings change. Their life changes. And I can also see people, and I see them all the time, they come to me, some of the most successful people in the world. I've had the privilege of coaching. And whether it be a professional athlete, an Andre Agassi, you know, a Greg Norman as a golfer, or the President of the United States, I've had the privilege now of working with all those. I don't say that's drop names. I say it to just tell you that I've really had a chance to see those who supposedly are the most successful on earth at what they do. I've also seen people in the most challenging times of their life when they're ready to commit suicide. I mean, I tend to enter people's lives at intense levels. You know, when people are on that mediocre middle level, when they're not really happy, but they're not unhappy enough to do anything about it, rarely do I show up in their life. You're probably listening to this program because you're either unbelievably successful and you're looking for the edge, or you're really saying, man, this is winter and I'm sick of it. You know, I want to get myself in the fall where I can reap some rewards. I'm sick of this place. I'm sick of the night. I want some daytime. I want some summer. I want some sunshine in my life. I'm looking for an answer. I am sick and tired of my to-do list and having more to do than I possibly can and not feeling fulfilled and feeling stressed and saying I'm successful. What for? Am I making any sense? So what I really want to give you then is this way of just identifying what is your natural ability. This whole program is not rocket science. It's what you already do when you're at your best. But what I'm going to do is give you some words, like some labels for it, so that now you can consistently get those results. That when you're in the flow and things are just going so well and you feel so happy, or ideas are just flowing through you and you're, man, this is amazing. I don't know how I did that, but that was amazing. I'd like to be able to do that again. That all comes from putting yourself in a certain state of mind, a state of emotion. And the first way to get in that state, that flow, is to change your focus. See, focus changing, when you make that change in focus, instantaneously, you can move yourself from being totally depressed to euphoria, literally in a millisecond. Whether you're succeeding at what you're doing right now in your job, in your career, in your personal life, with your children, is a huge reflection of what are you focusing on in those areas of your life, or are you even focusing on it? See, whether you succeed or fail to a great extent, is all your focus going in your job at the expense of your personal life in some way? Is the focus going into your spirituality, but you're not taking care of your body, the temple that it all is functioning through? See, when we don't know how to consciously direct our focus, we pay a price. It really determines, are you stressed or fulfilled? It has little to do with what you're doing or even the results you're getting, honestly. Because some people are getting great results and they're still unhappy. And there's some people who have so little in their life and things that they could be so frustrated about, and they're feeling great. I mean, I'll give you an example. Recently, I went to a spa and I thought, I've got to create some balance here. And I was looking at my management system for my life. And I said, you know what? I've put a lot of focus in some areas. I haven't taken enough time just to to relax, take care of my body. So I decided to go to a spa. And while we're there, I met this lady that was so vibrant. She was like the life of the party at the entire spa. She stood out. Everybody loved her. Really great lady. So one day we're sitting in the spa and we're talking back and forth. And I was talking to her about her goals and why she came there. We were all kind of sharing that. And she said, well, honestly, I'm here because I have a brain tumor. And she said, the doctors tell me I'm going to die within 90 days. And I looked at her and I couldn't even believe it. I said, how in the heck do you stay so happy? I mean, what is it you're doing? Because my whole life is, when I see someone who's doing something successfully, I believe success leaves clues. I believe people are not lucky. If somebody's incredibly happy in spite of huge challenges, there is a reason. And if somebody is totally depressed in spite of great opportunity, there is a reason. There's not something just striking them. People tell me all the time, well, it's this depression. It's a biochemical thing. It's just striking me down. Let me tell you something. Everything is biochemistry. You can change your biochemistry in a heartbeat by changing what you focus on, by the way you breathe, by the way you move. And it's not just something in your body. Your body is not something separate from you, but it starts with how you feel, how you focus. And so when I talked to this one with a brain tumor, I said, how do you do this? And she said, well, Tony, I do what you teach. And I said, really? And she said, yes, I've listened to all your tapes, and it was really a nice compliment. But I said, well, that's great, but tell me how you've applied it. She said, it's all focus. She said, listen, I know that if I focus on dying every single day, there's no hope for me. And if I focus on living my life to the absolute fullest every single day, number one, I got joy right now. I believe it's not only how long I live, it's how I live. I don't want to bend over and fall over. And you know what? I'm feeling better and I'm feeling stronger. And I'm doing my own approach. And whether I live or die long term, who knows if it's 90 days? I'm going to live fully while I'm here. I thought, and most people are stressed out because they can't get their super taco quick enough out of Jack in the Box. They're stressed out. Here's this woman got a brain tumor and she's joyous. I thought, man, you have no problems. If you're walking and breathing and you don't have a terminal illness, you got no problems. If you've got a terminal illness, it's only terminal if your mindset is as well. Because you can live right now today. Focus is the ultimate power that our Creator has given us that can change the way we think, the way we feel, and what we do in a moment. You change that focus, you change your life. RPM, this life management system, is a tool for consistently focusing on what you want instead of what you fear. It's going to pull you into place that not only gets you better results, but along the way, you'll be feeling more of that joy and that passion, and excitement, and that fulfillment that comes with being on the path and having a sense of certainty because you're focusing on what you want instead of what you fear. Listen, of all the people I've had the privilege of spending time with in my life, the one that I probably respect the most above all people, and that's saying a lot, is Nelson Mandela. I was so excited to meet him as my ultimate hero because I thought, how does a human being get locked up for 27 years of their life and not become totally evil? You'd expect it. You'd expect him to want to kill every white person. I think I would want to in his position. Anybody to unfairly, to unjustly steal a quarter of a century of your life and to be able to come out and say, hey guys, listen, let's focus on how to help the country. What an incredible soul. What an extraordinary man. But he's an extraordinary man because he has an extraordinary psychology, extraordinary way of thinking. He does not focus on the past. He's not focused on the hurt. He's not focused on his to-do list. He focused on ultimately what is most important. And when I talked to him, I said, how did you make it through those 27 years? How'd you suffer through that? And I actually used the word suffer. And he looked at me and said, I didn't suffer. I prepared. I thought, what a different point of view, what a different point of focus. He said, I was preparing myself. He said, sooner or later, one of two things would happen. I was certain. I focused on how could I make myself a better leader every day? What could I think about? What could I read? What could I do? Because sooner or later, one of two things would happen. Either I would die in prison, and that would inspire my fellow men to do whatever it takes to change our country and make it fair for all people. He said, or I would live, and once I got out, I would be able to lead my nation and lead it well. I thought, that's power. You want power? You want joy? You want passion? More money won't do it. Get more money, then you get to focus and worry about whether the IRS will take it, whether somebody will sue you, whether or not you make it through this time. Whether it's enough. It used to be the ideal amount. Now, most people have got more money than they originally thought they'd have, and now they're still stressed out, right? It's just a change in focus. It's the magic, the absolute magic of our lives. It's like the woman who's, got the brain tumor. One thing she and I talked about is, I said, there's a belief that I have, and I said, I'd rather be the courageous man. A courageous man dies once. The coward dies 1,000 deaths. You all know that quote, right? And she said, Tony, I actually picked that up from one of your other tapes. And she said, that really helped me. She goes, because I thought, you know what? I keep thinking about dying so much. And each time I feel like I died. I might as well have 1,000 deaths. Let me just wait till it really happens. Then I'll deal with it. I'll do everything I can to make myself healthy, but I'm not going to die over and over again, mentally and emotionally and spiritually. It's insane. It's stupid. But we all do it at times, don't we? We want to break ourselves of that habit. So I want to show you now how to begin to make this shift. We all have the same challenge, by the way. And that is that most of us live in an environment of constant stimulation, and we tend to react to that environment rather than consciously design what we want for our life, consciously direct our own focus. if you don't put the stakes in the ground and figure out exactly what it is you want and how you want it, which, by the way, is easier to do than you can imagine. If you don't do that, you're gonna live a life of reaction. You've got no choice. Let me tell you why. There are 3 things that grab your attention if you don't take control. Number 1, anything that you think is gonna lead to pain. That is, it's gonna lead to problems. We all, inside, have a little worrier. I don't mean a warrior, I mean a worrier. Because human nature, one of our things that drives us is our need to avoid pain. So when we think something could lead to pain, it could be a problem in our relationship, a problem with our kids, a problem in the business, a part of our mind tends to go there, it tends to focus there. And usually that's in reaction because we didn't do the things up front that would have made things work, so we never had to live in that place. And when you live on your fears, when you focus on them, you tend to get more of them. The second thing that grabs your attention, your focus, and starts to control your life, put you in reaction, is things that you think can lead you to immediate pleasure. Because listen, most people are living in stress, right? What's stress? Fear. Thinking about things that could go wrong, could be challenging, they don't have control of, they feel a bit overwhelmed about. So you know what? When they finally get a break, they want to just get out of that state. So they think of things that'll make them feel good just for the second. Sometimes that's food, sometimes that's alcohol, a cigarette, sometimes they're watching the news, sometimes that's flipping over and going to watch a movie. Some things are destructive, some are neutral, but they aren't fulfilling at the deepest level usually. We're replacing them. We're trying to feel good in the moment. Or sometimes what we do is we do something we're good at that we can get a quick completion on. Like I used to be really good at having a huge project and I'd see my desk just had to be cleaned at that moment. I mean, after all, I could move everything, make it feel better and have a sense of completion. I'm still competent. Look what I accomplished here in this short period of time. Look how clean everything is. Have you ever done it? I know you have, if you're honest. We all have. The secret, though, is to not allow yourself to go for the short-term pleasure because it's at the expense of your long-term joy, happiness, fulfillment. So we got to make sure we don't do that. Oh, we'll be reacting. We're feeling stressed, so now we look for a quick fix. That's what gets your focus. And I'll tell you the third thing that tends to get your focus. If you don't have a plan, if you don't decide what to focus on, here's where your brain will go, to other people's demands. Because that's a form of pain, isn't it? You don't want to disappoint people. Everybody wants something from you. You got to meet the needs. It's part of your job. It's part of your career. It's part of your personal life. You're going to stay in a relationship. There's all these demands, and a lot of them are urgent. And we start thinking what's urgent is important because we don't have a plan on how to make it work. I know I sound redundant here, but you know, repetition's the mother of skill. You know this stuff I'm saying is true. But you know what? You can't just say I agree or disagree. You got to do a few things. This is going to be an action program. This is a goal, not just to inspire you or to get you going or to remind you what you know, but to really get you to follow through. I mean, the best coaches in the world, say Coach John Wooden from the UCLA Bruins, greatest basketball coach in college history. What he was great at was the fundamentals, getting people to do the stuff that they already knew but weren't doing. That's how he won 11 out of 12 national championships. Everybody's had great players. No one's even come close to that record. And when I talked to him, he said, listen, Tony, everybody wants to do the new thing. Nobody wants to do what's necessary. You know, so many times in life, you know what to do, but you don't do what you know. RPM is going to get you to change that because it's going to show you a way to move yourself. So you're not looking for someone else to motivate you, to do things for your reasons so that you have a lasting sense of drive instead of a momentary feeling of motivation, like taking a warm bath. That's a big part of what this is going to provide for you. But to get to that point in your life where you're the one who's the captain of the ship, you're the one flying the jet, you have to be able to let go of that fear, and that is not an easy task. But you will if you understand the consequences. And I think I have for you a good example from my own experience that maybe you can relate to. Years ago, I decided I really wanted to race cars. And so what do? You got to get instructions. So I went to a racing school. And the first thing they do on the first day of racing is they put you in the car, and you sit next to this incredible driver, and they say, I'm now going to show you what an automobile is capable of doing. And then you slam back into the chair, and they take you on a ride that absolutely puts your hair on end. I mean, you go on 150 miles an hour straight at a wall into a hairpin turn, and your corkscrew turns like that. I mean, your heart's beating out of you. And you know the car's going to flip over. You know you're going to wipe out. And, of course, it's all even more exaggerated because the metaphor in life is everybody likes when they're in control. So, you know, if you're on a motorcycle and you're on the front, and you know what you're doing, you're relatively comfortable. But if you're on the back of that motorcycle, it's a different ride. I think that's how most people live their life. They're on the back of the motorcycle, and who's driving the front of it is all these demands in their life, all the things they're afraid about, all the things that other people want from them, all the things that they'd like to do right now, and they don't really know what to do to make it happen. So they feel like they're being whipped around. So when you're in that car, man, you're being whipped around. And when he's done with the ride, he pulls over, your heart's beating out of you, and he says, in 4 days, years, you'll be doing this too. And you think, sure, bud. Right? I mean, come on. But he said, let me tell you how we're going to get you to be really good. In order to be a great driver, there's one skill above all else that if you don't develop this skill, you're going to crash and burn. And that is you must learn how to come out of a spin. He said, because what will happen is you're going to be driving along, and even if you're doing everything right, somebody else is going to screw up and it's going to affect you. They're going to break up in front of you, and part of their car is going to be in front of you. You got to figure out how to get around it in the middle of a race. Or there'll be oil that you can't see that's slick, and all of a sudden you'll spin out of control. So I thought, wow, what a great metaphor for life. I mean, isn't it really? I mean, everybody does great when things are going well, but when I get the call, it's usually because things are going well and they want to do better, or the one I get is when somebody's in a spin, right? I get the president of the company, he's in a spin, he's got to figure turn around. Or I get an athlete and they say, I absolutely choked. I don't know what happened. I'm in this spin and I can't turn around. I'm in a slump. And I got to come in and turn them around. So while I'm as, I guess, the ultimate spin doctor, I'm showing them how to come out of that spin, not how to create a spin and make it look good, how to get the result they want. There are all kinds of spins we go into. Sometimes we go into a spin in our relationship where it's like we're getting caught up in the frustration and not focusing on what we really want to create in our relationship. And then we're reacting instead of being in charge and directing it and supporting the person we love and bringing something to the table. Sometimes we get in a spin about what to do with our kids, so we try to get somebody else to solve it for us. But hey, man, if you're driving the race car, no one else can solve this for you. You're the one who's in the car every day with these kids. You're the one in the car every day in this relationship. You're going to spin financially. You're going to have to learn how to come out of it. And I'm going to tell you the secret. Here's what they taught me. They said, look, if you're going to be successful as a driver, you got to come out of the spin, and here's how it works. I'm going to put you in a spin car, and this is physically what he did. He said, sit down in this thing. He said, now look what I got in my hand here. And he has this little device, and it's got 4 buttons. He said, when we're driving, at any moment, I can push one of these 4 buttons, and it will lift up the wheel that relates to that part of the car. And we will spin out of control in that direction. He said, now let me just warn you, I'm not going to push it when you're ready for it. He said, because that's not how it works in racing. You're not ready for it when it happens to you. And I thought, God, isn't that true of life? Just when everything's going good, something shows up you're not ready for. Just when you thought you got it handled, God shows up and says, I want you to grow. Here's the point. He puts me in the car. We start driving. We're driving like crazy. We're going round and round and round. I'm ready for him, man. Go ahead and push that button, baby. I know what I'm going to do. And I left out the most important instruction. Just before I get in, he goes, I said, well, how do I make sure, what do I do when I start to spin? He said, there's only one thing you got to remember. Focus on where you want to go when you get caught in the spin. Don't focus on what you fear. He said, have you had this experience? Have you read about or seen somebody, they're driving down a desert highway, 100 miles an hour in their Porsche, and they lose control, and there's only one telephone pole every quarter of a mile, and they wrap themselves right around it. He said, you know why? Because the minute they start to get out of control, they look for what they'd be afraid of hitting, and as they look at what they're afraid of, they literally steer into it. And I thought, wow. And he said, so when we get out here, he said, you're going to know where these walls are. And you're going to be driving incredibly fast. I'm going to push the button. We're going to spin out of control. And your first instinct is going to go looking for the wall to see where it is. And if you look towards the wall, you will literally steer us into it. You can get us killed. So he said, I'm going to be here to make sure you focus, like turn to the left. The left turn is what we're going to be making because we're on the track that direction. I said, okay, I got it. No problem. I teach this stuff. Well, how do you think it worked out? Well, first, I'm ready for him, right? We're driving, push that button, baby, I'm ready for you. Go ahead and push it. But he doesn't, right? Because it's like life. And we keep going and going and going and going. And pretty soon, it's a tremendous amount of concentration to drive that fast. And so finally, when I'm least ready for it, he pushes the button, we start spinning out of control. Where do you think my smart brain looks immediately? Straight at the wall. Now, to save our lives, he grabs my head and physically forces it to my left. Well, we've got to turn. We're heading straight at the wall because I'm pointing right at it with my head as we spin out of control. So sure enough, he's holding my head there. Now, here's the question. I'm now doing the right thing. I'm looking to the left, which is a left-hand turn. I got to get away from the wall by turning to the left. As I look to the left, what am I unconsciously doing without even knowing it? I'm turning the wheel, the steering wheel to the left. The wheels are turning left. Do you instantly turn left when you're doing the right things? The answer is no. There's this thing called momentum, right? We're in lag time. Sometimes in life you're doing the right things, but you haven't been doing long enough to get a result. You got to keep looking in the direction you want to go. But I was stupid. Guess what I did? I kept fighting him with my head. I want to see myself crash. I want to see the death happen, right? And he keeps holding on my head, looking in that direction like crazy. And sure enough, nothing happens, nothing works, nothing works, nothing works. We're still in lag time, but if you keep doing the right thing, guess what? Bam! The wheels catch. And a few feet from the wall, boom, we turn to the left. and my heart is beating out of me. And he looks at me and he says, did you learn? I said, I learned, no problem. I didn't learn. Second time around, he waits till I'm not ready, pushes the button. I immediately look at the wall, right? Grabs my head, shoves it to the left. We're not turning left. So now I don't know. I know I'm going to crash. I want to see the depth. I keep looking to the wall. I keep shoving my head. Last second it catches. Took 4 times of this from my slow brain to get, I got to look where I want to go. Because here's my problem. I said, well, what if I look in the right direction? That doesn't guarantee I won't hit the wall. I mean, does it? If you look in the right direction, if you do the right things, are you guaranteed success? No. But if you look at the wall, what are you guaranteed? Death. See, if you look at what you're afraid of, you're guaranteed to have more of it. If you focus on what you fear, you're going to feel it, you're going to experience it, and you're going to drive right into it. What you focus on, you feel. What you focus on determines the direction of your life. What you continually focus on, you will get. So what I'm saying to you is this. There are 3 keys to getting what you want in your life. One of those keys is see it how it really is, not worse than it is. Key number 2, though, is you got to see it better than it is. Because otherwise, you'll have no inspiration, no desire. You've got to say to yourself, what is my ultimate vision? The word we use in RPM is you've got to begin to learn to ask yourself, what is it that I really want? And what's my outcome? The R stands for what's the specific result that I'm committed to? Now, in this program, you might be here use the word result or outcomes because it's very easy to say, what do I want? It's more clear. It makes you be a little more specific to say, what's my outcome? And when you say, what's the specific result I want? What's the specific result I'm committed to? You get more precise. For example, someone might say, well, what do I want? I want to lose some weight, as I said earlier. I want to make some more money. Well, that's too general. You're never going to achieve a plan being that general. So you say, what's my outcome? Is to lose 5 pounds. What's the specific result? I want to lose 5 pounds of fat by December 22nd. It just gets you to be a bit more specific. But, throughout this program, you might have me say, what's your outcome? What do you want? What's the result? It's always the first step in RPM. It's really getting clear about what you want. Because the more you know about what you want, the more excited you're going to be. Seeing it better than it is. You must do that in order to be able to make any change in your life. And by the way, not just change, but progress. Change is automatic, but progress is not. Progress only happens when you become conscious, when you wake up and say, I'm the one going to determine the direction of my life. I'm going to determine where I'm going to put my time, my energy, and my emotion. I'm the one going to create the direction and ultimate result of what I stand for. So to get what you want, yeah, you got to see it as it is, not worse than it is. Yes, you got to see it better than it is. And then you got to develop a plan to make it the way you now see it, to meet that vision. This is exactly what the RPM life management system will create for you. It'll do it by asking questions, because here's the answer to the question you must have. You might say, okay, you're talking about focus forever. I got it. But how do I change my focus if I don't just use positive thinking? The answer is questions. The questions you ask yourself control what you focus on. See, when people say, I'm thinking, the process of thinking that you go through all day long is nothing but the process of asking and answering questions. That's all you're doing. Now, if right now you said, well, wait a second, I don't know if that's true. Let me think about that. When you say, well, let me think about that, you're going to ask yourself, is that true? Does that meet with my experience? That's how you think. Or if you said, oh, wow, that makes sense. Yeah, that's true. Then unconsciously, even if you're not aware of it, you ask the question, is that true? Or does that make sense? Or do I have an experience of that? The challenge is that most of us are unconscious about the questions we're asking ourselves. If you ask lousy questions, you get lousy what? Answers. So people develop very often, and I talk about this in one of my other programs, in Date with Destiny. I'll just talk about it, have people discover what they are. We often develop a primary question, a question that we ask so often in our life that it creates the dominant focus of our life. Like some people's question is, how do you help? Some people's question is, what's wrong with me? Somebody's question, my personal question is, how do I make it better? I'm a fanatic for that. Everything in my life revolves around, how can I make it better? How can I help more? How can I utilize this to make the world better, make myself better, to make life more fulfilling? I mean, these are the things that come out of that question. But very often people say, what's wrong with me? Listen, when people commit suicide, it's based on focus. They think there is no future. They think they're worthless. They think they'll always be in pain. They think there's no other choice. And you know why? That's where their focus is. And you know what starts? Questions. Oh, come on, it can't be that basic. It's that basic because questions are the controlling force of your thinking. And your thinking directs what you focus on, and what you focus on, you feel. And the state you're in determines what you do. If you're feeling depressed, you're going to do things very differently than if you're feeling euphoric or centered or strong or courageous or passionate. Does that make sense? So you've got to take control. And the way to take control is ask better questions. Let me give you an example of someone you're familiar with, Bill Gates. Bill Gates was not the ultimate genius when it came to computers. He was obsessed with the idea. He wanted to understand them as a little kid. He was fascinated by them. He was extremely bright. He went to Harvard, but he flunked out. He went through an environment where he was not the best. But I'll tell you what he did. He started thinking about what he really wanted. He didn't want just a Harvard education. He wanted to do something extraordinary. And so many of you know the story of what he did. He found out about this first personal computer. There was no form of operating system or software for it. And he came up with an idea to create it. And the guy was insane enough to call up this company and said, I have developed software for your product. The man said, you're kidding me. He said, no. He said, okay, I want you to come down and show it to me. He didn't even have one of their computers yet. And somehow he figured it out. He went down, and that was the beginning of his company. But I'll tell you what made Bill Gates not only succeed for the short term, because yes, he always focused on what he wanted. He didn't focus on what he feared, or you wouldn't call somebody up like that, would you? He focused on his outcome. And he knew why he wanted to do it, because he wanted out of Harvard. He wanted to create something. He wanted to change the world. That was his purpose. And so he came up with a massive action plan, because a lot of the initial actions he took, he didn't seem to work. But he kept focusing on the results. He kept focusing on what he wanted and why he wanted it. And he kept changing his plan, his massive action plan. That's the M in RPM. What is your massive action plan? And you got to change that, because a lot of times your plan doesn't work. But if you keep focusing on what you want and why you want it, you can figure a way to get just about anything in your life. But here's the secret. The questions you ask yourself are going to direct that focus. So guess what Bill Gates made as his focus? Early on, he decided, instead of focusing on how do I create great software, he asked this question, and it made him a multi-billionaire and directed his entire company. Here's the question. How do we become the intelligence that runs all computers? Because if we're the intelligence that runs all computers, everybody in the world will use what we have. Now, he had the audacity to ask a pretty quality question. And you know what? He kept searching for it with absolute certainty. And sure enough, with MS-DOS, he found it quickly. He bought MS-DOS for $50,000. He didn't even create it. He just knew his outcome. He knew what he was after in the business, and that laid the foundation. He later saw what Macintosh did and decided he was going to duplicate it, and in his mind, make it better. A lot of Mac users might feel differently about that, but the bottom line is that was his goal, and he created Windows software, and he said, we're going to become the intelligence that runs all computers. I don't know the accurate statistic. I think the one I heard most recently is that 85% of all computers on Earth are run now through Windows software. Think about that. I mean, the man is one of the richest men on Earth because of a question. Now, by the way, he didn't stop there. You talk to Bill, you talk to people in the company, they'll tell you. He said, Big Bill has a really clear idea. His question is, how do we become the intelligence that runs the information superhighway? And by the way, a lot of other companies are concerned that he's asking that question, because this guy gets obsessed. He finds enough passion and purpose and translates that to his entire company. And he comes up with an action plan, and it doesn't work, so he changes his approach, but he doesn't take his eye off the outcome, and he never loses the drive. He isn't doing it for money. He's doing it to have his impact on the world that he dreams, his vision. He's got more money than he can spend. That's the power of RPM for someone who doesn't have the planner, I don't think. He isn't running my software. And what he is doing, though, is using a thinking process that's moving him towards greater results. So what RPM is a system for you to get the most powerful results you can in the shortest period of time with the greatest level of fulfillment. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But that's really what it is. We all want results. We don't want conversation. We sure as heck don't want excuses. But that's what we're going to have unless we know what we want. So the R in RPM stands for result. You've got to know the result you're after. And by the way, the way I usually language is first is I say, what is it that I want? What do I want out of this situation? What do I want out of this conversation? What do I want out of this business? What do I want out of this fun? This time I'm going to go spend with my friend. What do I want? What's my outcome? That's the word I use, because outcome is broad enough, but yet it's still specific. The P in RPM is purpose. Listen, all your ability to achieve something comes from your ability to tap into your sense of meaning. See, when something to you means it's a waste of time, you have no purpose, you have no desire, it feels like it takes forever, doesn't it? When you have no sense of purpose to it, like, why am I doing this? Like, sitting in algebra, trigonometry, a geometry class for me was like, where's the purpose? I could have used an RPM back then. Because, truthfully, looking back on it now, some of the things I got out of studying various forms of math was a way of logical thinking, a set of rules that have helped me later on to be a more effective negotiator and thinker in business. But back then, no one could explain that to me. So all I knew was I had no motivation. Could I have gotten better results in math? Of course I could. I was great in all my other classes. But I didn't because I didn't have a strong enough purpose. I didn't have a why. I didn't have a reason why I wanted to do this. I had a reason why I had to do this. And that changes the quality of your emotion, doesn't it? Say, God, I have to do this. What does that do to your action plan when you're in that state? No matter what action you take. Versus, oh my God, I really want to do this. I'll tell you why. Because this is all part of making me achieve X, or this is what I love to do most, or it's part of the process of creating something I love. Or you know what, I know it's going to make me so much stronger. Purpose has power. And just think of purpose as your reasons. Reasons come first, answers come second. How to do something will be changed completely by why you want to do it. And the M in RPM, of course, is your massive action plan. And the reason I call it massive action plan is, you know what, when you got this big result and you got like 2 steps to how to achieve it, or you got 4 or 5 things, your brain knows this is bull. It knows this isn't going to happen. You know, you've got to have a plan that's so much larger than the task at hand that you know if 20 of these things don't work, you're still going to achieve it. There's tremendous power in being able to brainstorm and get everything out of your head, any possibility in how to achieve something. Now, you don't have to do it all. That's the secret. You can prioritize it, and you can decide which of these items on your massive action plan are musts. Like, these are the 3 or 4 that I must do. If I do these 3 or 4 things, I'm going to get my result. I'm going to get my outcome. I'm going to get what I want. Listen, the way to get from where you are to where you want to be is simple. First, decide where you want to go, for God's sakes. If you don't know precisely what it is you want, if you don't know the outcome of where you want to get, if you don't know the result that you're committed to achieving, the place you're planning on arriving, you don't know that, then nothing's going to help you. If you don't know why you want to get there, when the hot sun comes out, when someone gets in the way, when someone asks you to go somewhere else, you're going to get off course. And then even if you know what you want, you know why you want it. If you don't have a map, you're not going to get there. What's the map? The massive action plan. With a massive action plan, you got a way to get there. In fact, you got lots of ways. You get to pick the one that's best at the moment in time, and you always know because your focus is directed on the result. Your focus is being driven by your purpose. The map is there to serve you in lots of ways to get there. You pick the one that serves you best at that time. Hey, you want to have great results in your life? Build a series of maps. You know, a map on how to achieve your financial goal, a map on how to achieve your relationship goals, a map on how to get your body where you want it to be. What's a map? A massive action plan. It's part of the RPM plan. It's going to get you there faster, more powerfully than ever before with more enjoyment. What is an RPM plan? It's a results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan. And boy, if you're going to get results in life, you have to know what it is you're after. If you don't know what you want, you don't know your outcome, you don't know the result you're after, your chances of achieving it are slim and none. If you don't know why you want it, in terms and reasons that push you, that give you a sense of powerful purpose and meaning, listen, there's so much on your plate, you're never going to get to it. Or even if you do, not all of you will be there vested. I mean, you can take the same action with a different set of emotions, and you're going to get a very different result. If you're going to say to someone, I love you, and you're bored, I love you. That's very different than if your purpose is for them to feel so absolutely juiced and connected and appreciated by you because you love them and you want them to feel the same feeling you have. And you say, God, I love you so much. There's a different feeling. But Tony, I don't talk like that. I love you so much. I say, I love you so much. Okay, that's better. Whatever you like. But the point is, one might be more sexy. Maybe that's your purpose. One might be more loving. One might be more like emphatic. But your emotion determines your result. And if you don't decide in advance why you want to do something, you won't be in touch with your emotion. See, your massive action plan is filtered through the state you're in. If you're in a frustrated state and you start taking those same actions, you are not going to get the same result as if you're in a euphoric state, or if you're in an excited state, or in a state of anticipation. See, we have to understand that managing our lives, managing our projects, if we want to get more speed, we want to get more power, we want to get the result quicker, we got to bring more emotion to the table. But we can't just have a bunch of emotion without a laser-like focus for the result we're after. Does that make sense? The more emotion you got, the more power you got, but you got to have a clear target. That's why we have to know the result first. Build an RPM and you'll have absolute certainty about what you're going after. All of a sudden, the stress disappears. Because when you got that RPM plan in front of you, you'll know exactly what it is you really want, that result you're after. You'll know why you want it, that purpose, and you'll have your massive action plan. And by the way, that massive action plan, you don't have to do everything on it. You're going to know out of that massive action plan which ones are the musts, those key items that are going to get you the result you're after. And what is building an RPM about? It's about building pace, tempo. This is the rapid planning method. How do you create more power, more emotional power to get you to fall through? How to create more pace, more speed to get what you're really after. No more talking about what you want or what you should do or could do or wish you would have done. Just make it happen, but you're not going to do it till you get clear. Remember, clarity is power. What do you really want? Think about it. What's your outcome? What specific result are you after? The more crystal clear you are about what it is you want, the easier it'll be to get there. But you gotta back that up with your purpose. Why do you want it? Not why do you have to do it? Why do you want this? Because when we want it, now we've got the motivation, we got the drive. You gotta remember, achievement is almost never a matter of skill. It's almost always a matter of desire, of motivation, of push, of hunger. And then the massive action plan is not designed so you have to be anal, so you have to go through and figure every little detail and check it off. No, there are lots of ways to get your results. The reason we create a massive action plan is because lots of it's not gonna work by definition. And you're not gonna know until you try it. So one thing doesn't work, you try another. So you never end up in a position where you're saying, oh my God, what do I do next? You got a whole plan, a giant plan. If one thing doesn't work, another one will. That increases your certainty, doesn't it? So that's what building an RPM is about. Building a rapid planning system for yourself that allows you to manage your whole life with a level of quality and joy and fulfillment and excitement and passion like never before, but also with clarity, with power, and with certainty. How's that sound?
This session continues on the next CD.
All right, guys, I'm gonna switch it out. How many pages of notes do you have? I can't wait to hear. I've got lots. Here we go.
So you got to remember in life, the focus determines the direction, whether it be in business or your personal life. So you got to decide what you're going to focus on up front, or you're going to suffer from a life of reaction based on responding to everybody else's demands, your fears, or your need for instantaneous pleasure. Free yourself now by asking a better question. And so the obvious question you got to have now is, great, how does this relate to me having a plan for my day? Well, let me give you an idea. When people want to plan, they use a system that is identical to what people used several hundred years ago. And I dare say the country and the world has changed a smidge in that time period. Our lives are 100 times more complex. Information, the entire history of mankind's knowledge is increasing every 5 years now. Every 5 years, everything we've learned up to now is doubling. Think about that. That's staggering. And information is coming faster and the demands are greater. Our kids today have more choices, more options than any time in human history, and the least amount of guidance than any time in human history. That's the scary part. I mean, the world has changed radically. And so here's with this world of total complexity where everything's changing, everything's happening, multiple roles, multiple identities, multiple ways of making things happen. And here's how you manage your life. A to-do list. Oh, bear in mind, I understand you're an achiever, so it's a fancy one. Yep, it may come in the form of a little computer you carry around in your pocket. You know, those like US robotics things. Cool. I got news for you. If you want to manage your life, you need a different question. The worst question you can ask to plan your life is, what should I do? And that's the same question that was asked 200 years ago. The only difference is it was on a piece of paper, or as time went by, it was on a yellow pad, and now you got one with 3-hole punches, or 6 holes if you're fancy. A planner will not change your life. A computer that you carry in your pocket will not change your life. A piece of software will not change your life. What will change your life is a new way of thinking by asking some new questions. And it's not only asking new questions, it's asking questions in a specific order. See, order and sequence is everything. In language, we call it syntax. If I say to you, the dog bit Johnny, you know what that means, right? What if I say Johnny bit the dog? I use the same elements, the same words, different sequence. You got a very different experience, especially if you're Johnny, right? I mean, come on. The bottom line is there are 3 questions that are going to be the basis of what you're going to learn here. It's much more than these 3 questions, but if all you did was continually ask these 3 questions and write down the answers and then look at it to guide you throughout your days, weeks, months, or projects, I guarantee you your productivity, your effectiveness will jump 25 to 50% minimum. I'm trying to be as conservative as possible. You'll be able to measure it, and if you tell me, like most of our clients do, you'll say, I was 100%, 200%. That sounds unbelievable to people. But more important than just your productivity and your results, the system of thinking will get you to feel different. You'll feel more alive, and here's why. There's no feeling in to-do list, and if you focus on a to-do list, that's what you get more of. You want to focus on what you want to get more of, which is your outcomes. People that succeed, no matter what area it is, sports, business, in their intimate personal lives, and raising of their children, and they're making a difference in their community. What makes these people succeed is they all have the answer to 3 questions. First question is, what do you really want? And you know what? Most people don't answer that question. And I'll tell you why. They say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want. If I knew what I want, I'd go after it, but I don't know. And you know what? They say this over and over and over and over again. And I want to tell you something. I want to give you a little clue. Most of us hypnotize ourselves into blindness. Most of us use what I call incantations. Incantations is a word to describe a pattern that human beings use that literally shuts off their brain and makes them a to-do list maker, which I want to break you of, and makes them unfulfilled and fail to achieve what they deserve. Here's what incantations means. If you remember your fables, your mythology, and there were these great sorcerers like Merlin, remember? And they had the capacity to turn a frog into a prince or a prince into a frog. How'd they do it? Incantations. They said these phrases, these magical phrases over and over and over again. And they said it with such authority and emotion and intensity, pretty soon you thought you were a frog. And you know what? It was true for you. The bottom line is, we do this to ourselves all the time. You ever had this experience? Ever had somebody say to you, hey, could you get me the salt? And you say, well, I don't know where the salt is. And they go, well, it's in the kitchen. Well, I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is right now. I can't get it. Please, just go get the salt. It's just in the kitchen. It's on the second shelf right there on the right. I don't know where the salt is. Go get the salt. Fine. As you walk over there, you say, I don't know where the salt is. Why do I got to find this? I don't know where it is. I don't know where the salt is. You don't just say it. You say it with intensity. You open the door. You're saying this all in your head. You look up and down. You really do look. And you say, there is no salt in the shelf. The person says, it's on the right cupboard on the second shelf. You go, I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. I'm looking there. There's no salt. Person walks right in front of you, reaches right in front of your face, and they go, what is this? How many of you have this experience? It's the salt, isn't it? Now, I got a question for you. Was the salt there? Yes. Did your eyes see the salt? Yes, they did. I saw you shaking your head no. I know you're thinking no. Your eyes saw the salt, but your brain did not allow you to perceive the salt because you hypnotize yourself into believing it's not there, because with total emotional intensity over and over and over again, you said, I can't find the salt, I can't find the salt, I don't know where it is, I don't know where it is, I don't know where it is. Your brain doesn't want to make you look like a liar, so it goes, fine. We're going to create in psychology what we call a scotoma, a blind spot. And we're going to blind you from the realities in front of you. Most of you recognize this not in your own life. You recognize it when you're talking to someone and you're trying to explain something to them and they're being stubborn and the answer is so obviously in front of them and they can't see it. Because I know you've never done this, but I'm sure you've seen other people do this. So you can also, by the way, hypnotize yourself into being certain. You can use incantations. Same spelling, different emphasis. You can focus. And I don't mean affirmations. I don't mean go to your mirror and go, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. With this mad look on your face and mad tone. That ain't going to do it. What makes something an incantation or incantation is that you say something over and over again with total emotional intensity where your entire body is involved. And what happens is we begin to condition ourselves. Now, I'm giving you this little mini lesson in incantations because as you're learning, you might go, oh, God, I'm not getting this. I don't know this. Because in the beginning, it's challenging because it's new. You remember the first time you tried to drive a stick shift car? You got in there and you're going, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this and this, and I got to watch the road too? Are you kidding me? There's no way I'm going to ever master this thing. But, now you drive the thing and you don't even have to think about it. And you can drive and talk on your cellular phone and chew gum and read the newspaper simultaneously while you drive some of you. That's a scary thought. But in the beginning, it seemed impossible. You might say, Tony, in the time you asked these 3 questions, I could have just done the thing. What you're going to learn is you can get things done, and then you're always starting over because you haven't identified a process that makes you discover things you've never discovered before about how to get it done in the future or how to get what you really want from the process and how to have the emotion you want. Lots of people get their goals and they're still unhappy. So this process in the long run will be faster because you'll start seeing patterns of how to get the job done that you never saw before when you just made a to-do list randomly and started over. I know that may not make 100% sense to you right now, but it will shortly, so please hang in there. So once again, what is RPM? It's the fastest way to get results by organizing your mind and emotions for peak performance. All it really is 3 questions. If you did nothing else out of this whole program but learn to ask these 3 questions on a regular basis, you're going to get greater results than anybody else because we get what we focus on. And this is a results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan. So what are the 3 questions? The first question you're going to ask yourself is the R. What is it I really want? What's my outcome? The R stands for what is the specific result I'm committed to achieving? Because remember, clarity is power. The more clear you can be about what you're after, the easier it's going to be for you to achieve it. Remember, your brain is like a servo mechanism, like a mechanism in a bomb. If the target moves and the bomb knows exactly what it's after, it will adjust its path. It'll change its massive action plan to get there because it knows what it's really after. It's not busy doing a pre-planned set of actions. Its focus is on the target. So you've got to establish your target. The target is the R. You've got to know this, what the center of the target is. Where is the victory for you? What is it you really want? What's the outcome? What's the specific result you're after? Now the P again stands for the second question. Why do you want to do this? That's the most important question. Why do you want to do this? What will it give you? What is your P purpose? What's your purpose? Purpose has power. Purpose creates drive. Reasons come first, answers come second. Once you know what you're really after, whether you get there or not has to do with how committed are you? How much drive do you really have? Do you have enough reasons? If we get big enough reasons, we can figure out how to do anything. This is what's going to focus you. This is what's going to get you to take action. This is what's going to get you to follow through. This is what's going to fulfill you because you're going to stay focused on what you want, why you want it, and how you're going to achieve it. Isn't that what RPM is? What do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to achieve it? That's the essence of the whole thing. And when you can answer those three questions, what it is you really want, you can be specific down to a result you're committed to. And when you know why you want it, that purpose, you know how you're going to achieve it, your massive action plan, man, the rest is easy because you've got momentum, you got clarity, and you're ready to rock and roll. This is why RPM is so much faster than any other kind of planning, because most planning is about what do I got to do? And you know why that's slow? It's not even that the planning process is so slow. It's that there's no juice in it. There's no emotion in it. There's no RPM. There's no power. There's no way to increase the revolution inside of you that makes you want to move forward like you do with an engine when the RPMs are increased. This is the power to speed yourself up, to have more power inside yourself, and to get results more quickly than you ever dreamed possible. You should be chanting in your sleep, RPM, RPM, RPM. You should have an RPM ring, for God's sakes. You should have RPM logoed onto your t-shirts or something if you really want to achieve results. Maybe I'm getting a little out of control, but you know what I mean. You should make this your mantra. What's my RPM? What do I want? What's my result? Why do I want it? How am I going to make this happen? Because those are the questions, not how come I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? You know, I can never do this. How am I ever going to achieve this? Why am I so overwhelmed? These are the wrong questions. RPM questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? How am I going to make it happen? In that order, not how am I going to make this happen? Oh my God. Because then you'll forget what is you're even after or why you want it. Now, sometimes when people come up with a purpose, they say, well, the purpose of doing this is to facilitate change within the organization so that it can function with absolute effectiveness so that all human beings can contribute to the profitability and shareholders will share the enthusiasm of exceeding our profit expectations. What's wrong with that? It's not going to move anybody. When we took RPM into Hewlett-Packard, one of the things happened is we got to work with some of the best programmers in the world. These guys are the strike team that they send into other countries to figure out how to solve things, put things together. And they're always given tasks that are virtually impossible in the timelines they're given. They're really incredibly bright people. But what happened is they want us to implement RPM because they realized so much of the time people were doing activities that weren't actually producing achievement. They were being involved in things they thought had to be done, but they weren't really necessary to get the results. So in order to get greater results in shorter time, the company decided, let's bring in Robbins and RPM. So we did. When we first started coming up with why they wanted to do a particular project, the purpose, they came up with these things about the organization and facilitation, and there was like no emotional juice. So what we said to them was, listen, why do you want to do this? Give me some juice here, baby. Tell me, don't give me a 50-cent word. Give me an emotional word. And one guy says, to kick butt, to take names, to be the best on earth so that we can show people what we're really capable of, to create the most incredible system that ever existed in mankind's history. And they all started laughing and they got smiles on their face. And it's like all of a sudden they wanted to work on the project. And just a few minutes earlier, they're going, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this. You know, do we have to do this again? Why do we always have to do it in an impossible time period? When you find your purpose, you find your drive. And your purpose is different for everything. That's why you don't want to just go do some mission statement one time that maybe you read once in a while. Your reason for doing one thing is totally different for your reason for doing another. And we're going to show you how to capture that quickly, efficiently in a system. Right now, it sounds like, just a bunch of questions I'm asking. But I'm going to show you how to do this with precision in a short period of time to get great drive to go towards the outcome you picked out. And by the way, you know what purpose is? When you have a purpose that you're excited about, that you're passionate about, it ignites your genius. There's a phrase I said years ago, and I really think it's true, and that is passion is the genesis to genius. When you find a purpose that you are passionate about, it's like you get smarter. It's like your brain starts functioning at a different level. All of a sudden, ideas and creativity and concepts you never would have thought of will flow through you just because you're in that passionate place. So don't get caught up in the process where you go, well, I know my outcome. What are my action items? Let me get them down. Let me get them out of my head real fast. No, take the time to do your purpose. That's where the passion is. That's where the genius is. That's where the power is. That is where the fuel is that'll get you to follow through and make these outcomes happen. And the third question, of course, is what specific action do you need to take to achieve this? What massive action will you take in order to achieve this result that you're after? That's the M in RPM. And we want to be specific, not general. We don't want to say, oh, I need to do some research, because that's too general. You don't know where to start. We're going to teach you a system for being very specific. But let me tell you the good thing. You may come up with a huge action list on how to get your outcome. I guarantee you something you already know is true. And that is 20% of your actions are going to give you 80% of the results. So you don't need to do that whole to-do list. You don't have to spend all your time crossing it off or not making a list because you know you're not going to complete it. We're going to show you how to have more freedom. When you know your outcome, what RPM gives you is options, choices, so many ways to get what you're after instead of being locked into something you've got to do. When no one likes having to do things a certain way. Let's flex. Let's have the freedom to create greater results. That's what we're going to guide you through. I mean, after all, let's think about something for a moment. Don't you love your life when there's a sense of play? I mean, a sense of fun? But what's the difference between work and play? I'll tell you, for the most successful people in the world, and when I say successful, I don't mean just people that got great results. I believe success without fulfillment is failure. Those people are not only succeeding, but they love what they do. There is no difference between work and play. Work is play for them. See, for most people, I'll tell you what the difference is. A lot of people, when they play harder, actually work harder at playing than they do at work. And I'll tell you the only difference, the emotion that you associate to what you're doing. I mean, think about it. Here's what work is. Work is any activity that you don't associate an empowering purpose to. Any activity that you don't have a reason for doing. You're doing it because somebody else wants you to do it, because you have to do it. It's somebody else's purpose. It's not your purpose. That's why you don't enjoy it. Think about it. If you've decided this is something you love, or you decide you're doing this because you want to do it because it's going to give you some juice in your life that really matters to you, it becomes play. It becomes fun. It becomes enjoyable. It becomes rewarding emotionally. It becomes fulfilling. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like work, does it? You may call it that, but I can tell you something. I haven't worked in a couple of decades because I love what I do. And I mean that sincerely. But the reason I love what I do is not because I wake up every morning going, oh, isn't this wonderful? It's because I constantly focus on not just what do I want, which is really nice. What result do I want to produce? But why do I want to do this? I want to do it. And boy, when you find that, all heck breaks loose and you don't get stuck on those darn activities. Remember, activity without purpose is the drain to your life of fulfillment. Activity without purpose is a drain to your good fortune. It's a drain to your relationships. It's a drain to your physical body. It's a drain to your spirit. It's a drain to your finances. You don't want to have a bunch of activities without a purpose. It's stupid to manage your life by to-dos. I get it. And we all have done it, including me, but I was dumb. I just didn't know. I know now. That's why I can run 7 companies and be here in Fiji talking to you. And by the way, why am I here? Because I said, I want to create a product that totally empowers people. And I started thinking about why I wanted to do it. And then I thought, how am I going to do this? What specific actions? I said, well, go to the studio and so forth. And I thought, you know what? That doesn't juice me. So I can come here. I created a studio here in Fiji. So I'm looking out right now at the crashing waves. The sun is just setting. And I'm here with you, my friend. And we're talking about what to do in our lives. This came from asking a better quality of question, by the way. Not just how can I get the job done? Because I had made my outcome. Instead of how do I just produce this outstanding tape set, how do I create something that'll teach people this life management system and really get them to transform the quality of their life forever? But how can I do that and really enjoy the process? So my outcome was to create this product and enjoy creating it. I forgot that at various places at times, and I got caught up, and I just had to remind myself, okay, what's my outcome? I want to do this and enjoy it. So yesterday I had tons to do, and I didn't start taping yesterday. I said, you know what? I need to take care of my body because I want to enjoy what I'm doing here. I don't want to just go in there and be cooped up and do something. I want to do something that I believe in, that absolutely know the people that listen and don't just listen passively, but do what I'm going to guide you through. Those people's lives will be changed. Not because I'm so brilliant or the system's so great, but because you're so great. And all you got to do is use your brain in the way that works best, and you'll get all the results you ever wanted and the feelings too. So having a quality outcome, knowing why you're doing it. I'm not sitting here with a script that I'm reading, in case you can't tell. You probably can figure that one out by my random stories here. I'm here in state, looking and thinking in your face and thinking, how can I give you this area I know? I know you know things I don't have a clue about. that you're better at things than I am, but this is an area I know. It's been 2 decades of my life with total focus on how do you empower people to create absolute progress, not change, rapidly, quickly, in a way that's fulfilling. So I'm here to deliver that to you the best way I possibly can. But that's coming from this state of passion and purpose, along with a specific system of how to go about sharing this with you. I've got certain things I want to talk about here, but I talk about them clearly from my thought process and from my heart and from a sequence that makes hopefully sense to you. And by the way, I know I've dumped an unbelievable amount in this first session with you. It's kind of like trying to take a drink out of a fire hose, but I really want to give you the passion to sustain yourself until you master this. Because you know what people do? They do something for a little while, they're not good at it yet, and they kind of go, and I don't want this to turn into a fancy to-do planner that's got Tony Robbins' name on it. I want this to be a system for you that really works. So I wanted to give you this, and now we're going to start taking you shortly through the practical steps. Before I leave you though, I want to give you a couple other things about focus. I'm going to give you a little task, simple activity to do, and then we'll go to the next session. We're going to start taking things into bite-sized pieces where I'm going to explain it, how it works, and then you're going to do something really simple each day. What I want to make sure happens is that you get the result. You don't just get inspired, that you do the things that give you a life plan. And if you're a little fearful going like, but I don't know what I want, I promise you, I'll walk you through it. You do know what you want, at least at a general level, not perfect. People are always trying to be perfect. That's why they don't start anything. So they're trying to be perfect. And I want to tell you something. Perfection is the lowest standard in the world. When you're trying to be perfect, you know you can't be. So what you really have is a standard you can never achieve. Therefore, you have no standards. Want to be outstanding. See, that's something you can be because that's based on heart and emotion and commitment. And if you've got that kind of emotion and you're committed to make something happen, guess what? You'll figure out the how. I mean, that comes down to knowing the what, right? The outcome and the why. I know I keep coming back to this RPM. I sound obsessed because I've seen how it changes people's lives. Have I hammered you enough? Okay, well, let me just give you one more distinction about focus. And that's this. Think about it for a second. If you didn't use the paper planner, if you're not perfect, if you screw up the computer, you can still, as you go through this program, lay out what you want for your life, the areas you're going to focus on. You can still begin to ask these questions. And I mean, haven't you had this experience? Have you ever bought like a certain kind of car or maybe a certain outfit, and then suddenly you see that car everywhere, or you see that outfit everywhere, and you never noticed it before? Did these cars suddenly just start showing up? Did everyone decide to have your taste in dress suddenly? No, they were always there. Here's what happens. When your brain decides that something is really important, i.e. it decides on an outcome, it starts to notice anything that relates to that. When you decide what you absolutely are committed to, what is an outcome you absolutely want, and you know why you want it, and it brings that emotional vibration to that part of the brain, where the brain says, this is significant, you'll start finding things. I mean, haven't you ever done this? You set up a goal, you're obsessed by it, you visualized it, you imagined it, you thought about it, it was what you wanted most in life. You knew all the reasons why you wanted it, you were juiced out of your mind. And maybe you came up with a plan and it didn't work out, maybe you didn't even come up with a plan, and stuff started happening, like almost magically, like people you didn't even know before suddenly introduced themselves, or opportunities fell in your lap, or something happened that brought it into reality. I mean, haven't you had that experience somewhere? I mean, think about it. I bet there's a lot of things in your life today that were once just a dream or a goal or a desire that you now kind of take for granted. That at one point it may have seemed very difficult or even impossible to make happen. But what did you do? You focused on what you wanted, man. You knew the result. You knew why you wanted it, and you were relentless. And maybe you tried something, didn't work, so you tried something else. You practiced RPM. It's you. But wouldn't it be nice to notice what you do when you're succeeding so you can do it more often? I mean, that's what we're doing. We're just giving a label for what you already know how to do. Now we're going to go beyond labels to a system, so it's consistent, so it happens all the time for you, so that you feel a sense of control. Because guess what? Maybe the feeling of certainty, maybe that feeling of identity, that feeling of who you are as a man or a woman, where that really comes from, that good feeling, comes when you feel like you can control events, not events are controlling you. And what happens with this system is it will go beyond the questions, obviously. I'm going to give you a system to capturing these answers, a system of planning, a system of anticipating that'll give you that sense of control. When you have that, all of a sudden you feel really freed up. But I want you to get, if you don't get it all done absolutely perfectly, you can still use this system for succeeding and being fulfilled. So let's recap. What have we learned? Oh my gosh, Tony, you go, a lot. Well, we've learned, number one, that if we're going to change our lives, we need a way to manage our lives. Our lives today are so complex, we need a system. It needs to be simple, it needs to be easy to apply, and it needs to be effective. It also can't make us anal. where every single moment we're trying to freak out to figure out what to do. It's got to give us more choices. And it's got to move us in the direction of the things we really want and not constantly reacting to the demands of other people or the demands that our fear tends to bring or the demands of our desire to get some instant feeling goodness called pleasure because we're feeling so bad about all the stresses in our life. That we've got to put the stakes in the ground to control what we focus on because nothing is going to make you happy. No thing will make you happy. Only thing that's going to make you happy ultimately is if you do and spend your time, which is spending your emotion, your focus and feeling on the things that matter to you. That's how we're going to get you more time. So let me just ask you this. Close your eyes for a second so that all this information I've been throwing at you might go deeper than just your thought process, but into your experience. Close your eyes, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about all the things you need to do in your life right now. I want you to think of your ultimate to-do list, all the stuff you got to get done for yourself, for your family, for your business, for your body, for your emotions, for your spirit. What are all the things you need to do? And just imagine that list for a moment. All the things you got to get done. Go ahead, take a moment and do it. Don't just pass it off and say, I want to hear the next thing because this doesn't feel very good. Now, as you focus on your to-do list, really start to list all the things you think you got to do. I bet as soon as you do that, do you start feeling really great and vibrant and excited and like, oh man, I can't wait to go out there and hit it? I don't think so, unless you've got a very tiny list for your life. And if that's true, you wouldn't have invested in this program. You obviously are an achiever, you wouldn't be listening. So you got a lot to do. So don't focus on your to-dos. Let's try something else. Think of one, just one at a time, because that's what your brain has power in. Power comes when you focus on one thing that matters. Think of one specific result you need and want to create in some aspect of your life right now. Just think of the result. And close your eyes and actually do this. Now, if you're driving, that's not a good idea. So you might have to keep your eyes open if you're listening to this at that time. But what's a result you really want? That if you could achieve this result, it would excite you. It would get you up early, keep you up late, really juice you. Can you think of just a result? Not the ultimate one, not the perfect one, just one that you'd really like. What's something you'd really like, a result? It could be something in your personal life. It could be something with your body. It could be something in your business, your career, with your kids. It could be with your connection with your creator. It could be a specific project you want to do, a goal you want to achieve. Just get that in your mind. Do you have it? Now get a picture in your mind. Picture it. I know some of you don't make pictures. That's because you're busy doing incantations. I don't make pictures, I don't make pictures, I don't make pictures. I understand. Then talk about the future. Everybody makes pictures, by the way. Some are clear, some are more just feeling oriented. Or get a feeling about your future. Get a feeling about this thing you want, this result. How does it feel when you think about this? Does it feel good? Okay, try this. Take that picture in your mind or that feeling and just do this. Make it brighter. Make it brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. As it gets brighter and brighter, does it feel better or worse? Well, for most people, and probably for you, it probably feels better, doesn't it? Now try this. Think of the same picture, that same desire, that same outcome. By the way, as you're thinking about it right now, does this feel better than your to-do list? Oh, yes. In fact, you care how you're going to get there. No, you want to create a plan, but you want the result. In fact, while you're there, think about why you want this. Why do you want this result? What would it give you? Someone says, well, I want to be a multimillionaire. Well, that's great. But when you get it, there's not a whole lot of juice in that unless you know why you want it. Or because I want to help my family, because I want to help my church, because I want to create scholarships, because I want to travel around the world, because I want to live life in style. I don't know what your reasons are. Everybody's reasons are different. Why do you want that outcome? Why do you really want it? Why will it juice you? And don't go, I don't know. Just come up with the first thing that pops to your head. You don't have to be perfect. Why do you really want it? What would it give you? What about that would excite you if you had that result, but make you feel great? Have you come up with some compelling reasons? Think of some good reasons, or just think of some fun reasons. And if you're not sure on the reasons, I'll help you out. Go back to the result. Just focus on the result. Don't even have to come up with the reasons yet. See that picture again, make it really bright and make it really big. You got it? Okay, now, take that image, and right now, I bet you feel like doing something about it, do you? Am I right? You want to make it happen. So try this. Take the image and make it dim and dark and defocused. Take that image and make it smaller and smaller. How does it feel now? Not quite as good, huh? Take that small, dim image and push it further and further and further away. You can barely see it in the distance. How does it feel now? Probably not very good. Now, with your eyes still closed, I want you to think about this. Is it possible in your life that very often you think of things you want, but you make them dim and dark and small, and so you don't think about them very much? They're not even part of your focus. You don't feel very inspired. You don't think about it enough. You don't focus on it enough, or you focus on it, but you make it so small and dim that it just doesn't inspire you to even take action. Repeat after me in your head. Something to think about. I don't want to leave you depressed because that's about how some of you feel right now. So take that image and make it big again. Make it in color. Make it a movie. Bring it closer. Step in the movie so you are there and it is happening and you are celebrating the victory of your achievement. You're there. I mean, really breathe the way you're breathing if you were there. Put the look on your face like if you were there. Make the image brighter, even brighter. Make it even bigger, bigger than it was before. Bring it even closer. Say, hear in your mind the sound you'd be hearing, or say what you'd be saying. Feel it in your body. Does it feel better? Does it feel even better now than the first time you did it? Yes or no? Yeah, for most of you, if you made it bigger and even brighter, you made it even better. Now, do you feel like going for it in this state? Yes or no? This is called focusing on an outcome. How does it feel to focus on your outcome instead of your to-do list? Feels a bit better, doesn't it? Now, I'm going to show you how to make this practical. Go ahead and open your eyes and just get a sense of what that felt like. Let me show you one more example of the power of questions, and then I'm going to give you a simple assignment, and we'll be done with this massive marathon session where I've dumped everything but the kitchen sink on your brain. I just want to make sure I hook you to go for it and to realize this is not just some stupid planner. It's a way to create the juice of your life. It's a way to have an extraordinary life. Not a life that you just feel decent about or good about or if not have bad, a life that is a wonderful, spectacular adventure. An adventure in the emotions that you want and the achievements that you've dreamed about becoming real. So here's the question I got, a couple of them. Here's what I want you to do. Just answer this question in your mind. If I asked you right now, what are you really happy about? What are you really excited about in your life? What would your answer be? Your brain might go, nothing. My life isn't exciting. Well, you know what? Sometimes my brain would do that too. So I asked a new question. What could I be excited about right now? What could I be happy about? If I really wanted to be happy, if I really wanted to be excited, what could I be happy or excited about? Either one. Think about it right now. What could you be really happy about in your life right now or excited about? Go ahead and think, come on. Have you come up with something? Oh, quit trying to find the perfect thing. Just come up with one thing you could be really happy about, really excited about. That's it. Imagine that for a moment. Think about it. How does that make you feel when you think about, i.e., when you focus on what really matters to you, what you really want, something you're really happy about, something you're really excited about? What about that excites you? How does it feel right now when you're focusing this way? And by the way, your focus is being controlled by a question. Here's another question for you. What are you really proud of in your life right now? Or if your brain goes, nothing, I have nothing to be proud of, I'm just a total screw up. Well, then try this one. What could I be proud of? If I really wanted to feel proud, what could I feel proud about right now? Think about it. What could you be proud of? Don't try and just do the ultimate things. Think of some of the little things in your life you could be proud of. Think of one of them now. How does it feel when you focus on things you're really proud of? Does it feel good? Give yourself this gift right now. The gift of focusing on some things that matter. Things that make you feel good, because in this state of feeling, I bet you'll behave differently in a state of focus, of frustration or overwhelm or thinking of things that haven't worked. You can't build on failure. You can only build on success. Here's another good one for you. What are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? What could you be grateful for right now? I met Sir John Templeton years ago, one of the most amazing men in the world, probably the greatest investor of the last 50 years, but also just an incredible spiritual man. Like each year, he gives away more money than the Nobel Prize for the person he thinks has made the biggest difference in spirituality, not religion, but spirituality in the world. People like Mother Teresa have won. And his whole life, I asked him, I said, what is the secret to real wealth? Because he's a billionaire several times over, but more importantly than that, he is a happy man. I mean, you just meet him and your soul feels lifted by being in his presence. And he's in his 80s, so he's seeing a lot of change in our world. And he said, Tony, you know the answer. It's what you teach. He said, the secret to wealth and happiness is gratitude. See, how many people hire you? And I have one client, for example, that made $500 million in one day. The only one other man on earth that I'm aware of has ever made more money in a day than he has. And George Soros was that man. He made $1 billion in a day. This man's one of my clients. I've worked with him for about 5 years now. And he made $500 million in a day. And then sure enough, it's like the people that went to the moon. He went to the moon, came back, president shook his hand, they had their ticker tape parade, and now what? The astronauts got depressed because they had nothing to look forward to, nothing to focus on that would excite them or make them feel good. They kind of felt like their life had no direction. He did the same thing. He did the equivalent of going to the moon financially. And pretty soon he found himself in a place where he's losing money year after year. And so I helped turn him around. He started making hundreds of millions of dollars within a short time. So I work with him literally every day. And say, I've seen people that have had it all still be unhappy. He said, Tony, look at these people. They're doing this. They're paying all this money to you. They're having you turn around their businesses. He said, but they really want you to turn around them. I said, that's true. And he said, but think about it. How many people do you know that seem to have nothing, but they're so rich because they're grateful for what they have? And how many people do you know that have everything supposedly, but they really have nothing because they're not grateful? He said, gratitude is the antidote to fear. I thought, wow. So what are you grateful for? Have you been thinking about it? What are you really grateful for? What could you be grateful for? What are some things in your life that maybe you haven't stopped to give thanks for in a while? Maybe you're so caught up in your to-do list. Maybe you lost track of what's already extraordinary. How does it feel when you feel grateful inside? Probably a more healthy state than most people live when they're rushing around trying to cross off that to-do list. Hammering this to-do list thing pretty hard, aren't I? You bet. We got to free you of it. It's such a habit. Let's ask another question. Who do you love? Who loves you? And you go, nobody. Don't you have a dog? Now, cats, oh my, the cat may not love you, but a dog, you think about it. If you want love, get a dog. Because you know what? You go out to get the paper, you come back in, they're wagging their tail like you've been gone for 6 months. I mean, everybody's got love somewhere. Seriously, who do you love? Who loves you? Who could you love? Who could you allow to love you? Maybe your creator. Something to think about. How does it feel when you feel loving, when you feel loved? And as you think about the answers to these questions, if you've really thought about the answers, if you really asked the questions I've asked you of yourself, then you probably changed what you're focusing on in the last couple of minutes, haven't you? Does it feel different than just a few minutes before when I was ranting and raving? Yeah, I think so. Questions. All human progress is preceded by a new question. And leaders don't so much teach as they often ask us new questions so we get new answers. I mean, think about it. Whether it's Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy, these are people of vision that thought of outcomes nobody else thought of before and found enough reasons for us to go after it. Whether it be suddenly beginning to understand that we are all equal, or putting a man on the moon, or seeing a free world. Robert Kennedy had that famous quote that he quoted actually from someone else. Remember the phrase? He said, some people see things that were done and ask why. I look at things that were never done and ask, why not? Want to change your life? Change your questions. It'll change the answers for where you're going. Ultimately, though, let me tell you this. The way your life changes is a change in psychology, a system of thinking that will produce extraordinary results and amazing fulfillment. It'll create a clear direction that you've set. It'll give you the emotion you need. It'll give you lots of ways to get it done called action plans. But to make it all work, you're going to have to decide right now to become a bit unreasonable, kind of like anyone who succeeds. I mean, think about it. It was unreasonable for Nelson Mandela to spend 27 years there and not come out and kick everybody's butt. Pretty unreasonable for somebody like Mother Teresa to spend 40 or 50 years of her life in her 80s traveling around the world, 100 countries in a year when she was sick as a dog, giving her all. Completely unreasonable to think that this little woman from Calcutta could touch souls all over the earth. That's why she did it. It's unreasonable to see somebody like Christopher Reeve go through the changes he's gone through and figure out when he can barely breathe how he can go out and inspire other people to make the world better. That's unreasonable. But unreasonable men and women shape the world, and you got to decide what kind of person you're going to be. Unreasonable men and women, what makes them unreasonable is they're not unreasonable to other people. They're unreasonable in their expectations of themselves, not only of what they want, but what they're willing to do to make it happen. I've never met a person who succeeded who wasn't willing to do anything to make that happen as long as it was for the greater good. And what you've got to decide right now, you want to be a bit unreasonable and do something different than everyone else. Because I want to tell you something. If you made it this far, you're one of the extraordinary few. Because most people don't even pick up a way to change their life. They just complain about it, whine about it, stress about it, not do anything. A few of them actually will go to some kind of time planning seminar, good, bad, or indifferent, or invest in some kind of tapes. But most of them will never even crack them open. Research has shown when it comes to reading books, less than 10% of the people who buy a book actually read it to the end. And I don't know what it is on tape sets, but you're here on a long session. You stuck by me. So I got a hallucination that you're going to go for it. But you got to get reasonable enough to say, I'm going to actually do what this guy's talking about because I don't want to just get inspired. I'm going to produce results. I'm going to take control of my life. And I'm going to shape it into something absolutely extraordinary. If you decide to do that, that's the difference between a Bill Gates and a George Gates that you don't know, who hasn't produced any result. That's the difference between those people that you know personally that inspire you, that have this life of passion because they got the sense that they're living life on their terms. And don't you deserve that? So I have 3 questions for you to answer as your homework from this tape. And by the way, we want you to do something after each one of these so that you don't just think and feel. And one of the ways to do that is maybe keep a personal journal. Or if you have in front of you our RPM Life Management Planner, you might just take out one of those journal pages and write these answers on the journal page. Question number 1 is simply this. What is something you tend to focus on a lot that doesn't serve you? Just be honest with yourself. And write down, if you can come up with 2 or 3, that's fine. But the first secret to creating a change is awareness. It's hard to change something when you got a pattern inside of you and you're just not even noticing it. So if I said to you, you had to tell me the 1 or 2 things you focus on the most that are really the wall for you, things that you fear or things that you don't want to experience, but you keep thinking about it. It's like if I say to you, don't think of the color blue. Don't think of the color blue. Whatever you do, don't think of the color blue. What are you going to think about? What's the color? Don't think of it. You know what it's going to be. It's blue. So we can't not focus on something. We have to focus on what we want. You can't just say, I'm not going to focus on what I'm afraid of. So the question is, what are 1 or 2 things that you focus on a lot that really don't serve you? They make you feel stressed. They make you feel overwhelmed. You say, but Tony, but if I don't focus on it, it'll happen. Wrong. What I'm going to show you is by focusing on what you want. It's kind of like if you got some time, 5% of your time should be spent on the problem. 95% of your time needs to be focused on the solution, which is the outcome you're after, not the thing you're afraid of. It's got to be focused on the turn you want to make. Does that make sense? Here's the second thing to jot down. What's something you do on a regular basis that you really don't have to do? But maybe you do it because you want to show people you're busy. I mean, you don't do it deliberately that way, right? But you feel like, boy, if I stop and I relax and other people are working, they'll think that I don't really care or I'm not really going for it. That's one example. Or what's something you've just done for so darn many years that it just doesn't make sense to do and you spend time on it all the time. You know, maybe it's an activity that just, it doesn't give you the juice it once did. It's not worth your time. And it's stealing some of the time you want. If we want more time, the way to get more time is get rid of stuff that doesn't have a real purpose in your life, that doesn't give you the juice, that doesn't have an outcome that relates to what you want. And by the way, I don't expect you to do this exercise perfectly. And I don't expect you to spend 5 hours. Do this for 10 minutes. Okay, just sit down and write down these answers, even 5 minutes, and think about what's something in your life, maybe 1 or 2 things you spend time doing that someone else could easily do. Jot it down so we can free you of it. And here's the third question. What's something you really want for your life? What's an outcome? What's a result? Something you want to achieve, something you want to experience, something you want to learn, something you want to master. Maybe it's something you could do this week. It's a result you want for this week, an outcome. Maybe it's something for this month. Maybe it's something that you're going to accomplish over the next 6 months. But something that if you really made progress, if you really made that happen, if you produced that result, if you met that outcome and made it happen, it would juice you. You'd say, this is fabulous. Something that later on we could create a plan for. And here's a bonus one, number 4. Last one. And this may be the most important one. Even if you didn't do the other first 3, do this one. Just take a couple of minutes, 3 to 5 max, and answer this question. Why must you master this system called RPM Life Management? Why must you develop a management system for your life and not just understand it, but live it and use it every day? Because that's why I've launched into this crusade with you, was to really get you to see how important this is and what it'll give you for your life. Because if you miss this, you're going to miss major value, because you can be inspired all day long. You can have all these wonderful emotions and visions. But whereas I said before, the rubber meets the road is, can you take that, convert it into a plan that you really act on today and produce real results and not just be a dreamer? Dreamers and good feelings are a dime a dozen. I think those are critical things. I'm a dreamer, and I'm absolutely somebody who has those core emotions that drive me. But I also have the capacity to take those dreams and turn them into reality because I have a system, and I use it consistently. So what I want you to do, even if you didn't do these first three, if you only got a little bit of time left, take 5 minutes, 3 to 5 right now, and answer this fourth one. Ideally, please answer all 4. But the last one is, why must you master this? Your reasons. Remember, you know the outcome. The outcome is to master your life, to have more fulfillment, and more joy, more power by having a system that balances your life and at the same time gives you greater results and greater fulfillment. Why would you want to master something like that? Why would you do whatever is necessary, whatever time or energy is necessary here? Why would you immerse yourself in it? Remember, RPM is a simple system of thinking that accelerates your results, and it creates an extraordinary level of personal fulfillment. So why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you just take the time to answer these 3 questions? What do I really want? What's my outcome? What result am I really committed to achieving here? What specific result am I committed to? Second question, why do I want to do this? What will this give me? What will this create for my life? What's my purpose in doing this? What about this could juice me? Why is this so important to me? What's my purpose? And the third question, how am I going to get this done? If I was going to kick butt and take names, not mess around, I was going to take massive action. I wasn't going to settle for anything but results. What would I do? What are all the possibilities I could do? And then I can trim the list later. What's my massive action plan? This RPM management system will give you what it is you've been looking for. And we both know what that is. A way to finally get rid of those to-dos, a way to finally enjoy your life, a way to have certainty about where you're going, but also the flexibility to change midstream and get what you want, not to be tied to something that controls you. We're not looking for more rigidity in our life. We're looking for more flexibility, but greater results and more enjoyment. Your RPM life management system will give you your life back. Not just getting things done, but getting the right things done, getting things done that matter to you, feeling the joy along the way, and knowing for certain that whatever it is you set your mind to, whatever project you set up, you have a way to achieve it. And if one way doesn't work, you got many others. You get results with this planning method, and you get fulfillment, and you get it faster than the other way. Because one of the reasons it's faster is not just the time it takes, because in the beginning it actually takes longer to do until you master it. What makes it faster is the different emotions you feel. See, remember I said before, what is a long time when you're not having a good time? A minute feels like an eternity when you're not enjoying what you're doing. You're not in the right emotional state. But you know what? When you're having the greatest time, 10 hours can feel like a minute. Have you ever had like a day seem like it just disappeared in the blink of an eye? Today is not one of those days for me, but I can remember days like that. So what makes this the rapid planning method is it makes the things you don't like to do disappear because you're having such a good time doing it. And because you're not thinking about those things you have to do, you're thinking about what you want and why you want it. This changes your emotional state. This speeds up time for you. It takes away the painful time and gets you focused on the time of your life. The way to have the time of your life is always be focused on what you want instead of always focusing on what you don't want. The way to have the time of your life is to enjoy your purpose in life, to know why you're doing things, because there's juice, there's emotion in doing things you want to do. There's not a lot of juice in doing things you don't like to do. And there's tremendous emotion when you feel like you're on a roll, when you're taking massive action. You feel great. Everything speeds up. The result speeds up, but better yet, your level of joy starts to happen. You start having the time of your life, and that's what this program is really about. Guess what? You have made it through the mega session, this total indoctrination into RPM. Yes, it is clearly a cult of people that want to go out and get results, who want to have mythology, who want to have fun. It's not a cult. It's a commitment to yourself. It's a chance for you to say, I am going to live life by my standards. This guy, Tony Robbins, I'm not going to tell you what to believe and what to do. That's up to you. And now you've got a system to really make it happen for yourself. That's called freedom. The freedom you deserve. So let's have you finish this session and go do this for today. And then I'll see you tomorrow. Or if you're one of those overachievers, I know you'll be grabbing for another tape quickly, and I'll be back with you then. Till that time, this is Anthony Robbins signing off, saying to you, live with passion.
Woo! All right, let me get back here. All right, I'm going to stop the recording here, guys.